You know, before I became the 33,960,155th most subscribed channel on YouTube, I actually used to be a Redditor. I first joined mostly to talk on the r/feedthebee subreddit about modern Minecraft, before I decided to shitpost about modern Minecraft on the subreddit r/feedthememes, where I eventually became one of the top posters. Probably my first taste of fame on the subreddit came after I created the Better with Monster from a GrapTech meme, which was a vacuum meme about how it would be really kind of poggers if, you know, someone actually put all of these monsters together. Just kidding. Unless, as you can probably imagine, this meme, although somewhat popular at first, became stale incredibly fast as I soon had to move to look for greener pastures. At the time, I took a pretty large liking to the Japanese mod or JMod community, and I became essentially the sole advocate of an obscure mod by the name of SextiarySector2. Now, there were more installments to the SextiarySector franchise, but the second one was by far the most developed, and I feel pretty confident when I say it was also probably the best one. Mostly because I haven't actually played the other two, and for a long time it was one of my favorite mods of all time. By the way I talk about this mod, it might seem like I think that SextiarySector2 is some divine creation, but that actually gonna be further from the truth, as I actually think that SextiarySector2 is in many ways a deeply flawed mod. However, despite all its design flaws, bugs, and just what the fuck moments, there is still something inherently charming about it to me, which is why in the following video I will try to explain why I'm still not over some mod that released 7 years ago, and by the end of it I hopefully convince you, the viewer, that if not to play it yourself, you can at least appreciate the mod for what it did and why I liked it so much. So, this SextiarySector2 is good, and here's why.
You pop this piece of crap in, and what do you get? Well,
the first thing that anyone who really knows anything about Minecraft does is open their inventory. This is the first achievement you get, even before obtaining wood, and here immediately lies the first change you're gonna notice upon installing this mod. You'll get a trophy for any achievement you do in the game, no matter its importance or from what mod it is. As most of the in-game documentation in this mod is actually done through achievements, I think that this is a pretty good design decision, as it motivates the player for more and more of these trophies by looking for achievements to do, making them learn more about the mod as they go. It's just that if you aren't particularly interested in the achievements, or you already know what most of the mod has to offer, the trophies quickly become nothing but inventory clutter. As you go to chop your first tree, you notice that this mod actually has fast leaf decay built into it. That's pretty nice, although unnecessary. Another thing is that the leaf blocks now drop leaf items. I actually like this quite a bit, as they are a quick and easy way of obtaining fuel without wood before other resources like coal are available. Although it does tend to get annoying the longer you play. This is however not the least main purpose in the mod. If you look over at your hotbar, you will find 3 new additions: the energy bar, the thirst bar, and the money bar? The money bar isn't actually a part of SextiarySector2 necessarily, Rather, it is a part of an API made by the same author called MC Economy 2. Though aside from a few other mods, there isn't actually much use for the money part of SextiarySector2, so for the purpose of this video we will just treat it as part of the mod. I think the way the thirst bar is handled is actually a bit ahead of its time, considering that this is a mod from 2014. I mean, the idea for a thirst bar is about as old as the hunger bar. The way it works in SextiarySector2, however, is that if you drink untreated water, you get hunger for a few seconds, which makes you both hungry and thirsty. The way you treat water is by boiling it, though in villages and such you can sometimes find well with drinkable water source. The energy bar usually gets repaired with activities such as eating and, weirdly enough, being in a boat, so if you ever find yourself exhausted in the middle of the day, a boat is pretty much a must-have. There are also hot springs underground which you can find, which also replenish your energy. The by far easiest way of regaining energy though is by sleeping, which in theory would make the game basically unplayable for any players unlucky enough to find themselves in a sheepless biome. To remedy this, the mod makes the leaves craftable into leaf blocks, which are different from the vanilla leaf blocks which spawn on trees. These blocks can be further crafted into leaf beds, so now you just have to pray you don't spawn in a desert. As vanilla now has its own way of combating insomnia, I think that this part of the mod is kind of redundant. Some animals, such as cows and pigs, aside from their usual drops of meat, also drop animal oil, which can be another source of fuel about as good as coal. The first real step in working with the mod is the creation of a large furnace. The large furnace is pretty much the same as a regular furnace, but with a 3x3 crafting grid. It's mostly used for making various alloys, gels, and food. Animal oil can also be used to create soap here. Your next step is to create a liquid furnace inside the large furnace. For now, the liquid furnace isn't going to be very useful aside from the fact that it can be used to boil water and also turn logs into sap as well as charcoal. Sap being an alternative to slime balls, which are going to be extremely necessary for further progression in the mod, so it might be a good idea to make one if you don't already have different means of obtaining slime. If you ever find yourself on a beach, you will notice these sand pits. These can drop some random loot such as sticks and bottles, but on occasion they can also drop enchanted books. Descending deeper into the caves, you will notice large ores, which are mostly notable for the droppings of dust, being able to create alloys before you are able to get a pulverizer or are able to crush ores with some other mod. Later, you will find ores like copper, silver, and zinc. At around the same level you start finding redstone, you find bluestone and yellowstone. Yellowstone isn't really all that useful as of now, or really, you can just ignore it. What you really want a lot of though is bluestone, as it will be probably the most necessary resource in the wall mod. At the moment, by the first ore, we enter.
Baba Bowie.
To start industry, you will probably first need to create a couple of items which will be used extensively in the recipes for the various machines. These include different kinds of gears, the different kind of batteries, the motor, and the bluestone gel. The bluestone gel can be crafted both in the crafting table as well as in a large furnace, where the output will actually be doubled at the cost of some fuel. Then, just make a wooden shaft and boom, This is your first step toward creating GF. GF standing for Geared Force, and it is the main form of energy used in this mod. Oh wow, I didn't know incels were such profound connoisseurs in the art of modifications for the game Minecraft originating from East Asia. Personally, I really like this redstone bluestone dichotomy the mod has going on. Often in Minecraft mods that deal with energy in some manner, there are two ways you can choose to respond to the existence of redstone. There is either to completely ignore the existence of redstones, just for the most part focusing on your own thing, or try to directly integrate redstone into a progression of your own mod, as is the case with the infamous redstone flux. Like, oh guys, you know redstone? Well, now it's a liquid that you can use to power your machines, I guess. By calling the main crafting component of something bluestone, the mod demonstrates that what you are going to do is similar to redstone, but not necessarily the same thing. Speaking of things I really like, here's something which I don't like about GF. So the industry section of the mod is divided into multiple tiers, these being pretty similar to the various tiers in SextiarySector2. The way it works is essentially you have like 5 completely independent energy systems, which I realize isn't exactly obvious, so let me elaborate. The best way I could describe it is as if someone tried to do a tier-based power system in MC Creator. Like if you try to connect a lower tier generator to a higher tier machine, it literally does nothing, like it's not even from the same mod. And in order to use the power between the two systems, you have to use the converters. Speaking of the converters look incredibly cool. I love how there are all these tiny cubes floating around. That's not to say that I think that just because something looks cool, that necessarily evaluates a bad mechanic. And the thing is, I don't even mind the idea of tiers. I think that SextiarySector2 implements the tiers in a way that rationalizes their existence in a way that the player can understand. Anyway, so there are 5 tiers in this mod, each usually having a single generator and 2 machines. The first is the wood tier. Its generator is the small windmill and its machines are the millstone and the loom. The millstone can be used to grind lily pads into lily pad dust, which can be used to create the buoys, which act like the special rails for the boats. The detector buoy making a redstone signal if passed. The powered buoy boosts the boat in a specific direction, while the boarding buoy stops it. None of the buoys require redstone signal, unlike their rail counterparts by the way, which is understandable because water. This honestly feels like something you would find in one of those vanilla-esque mods, which have always existed but they never really took off until the release of Prologue. Next is the stone tier, with the first generator being the windmill.
Oh, hey, so what you're seeing right now on the screen is me walking through the mine shaft, collecting cobwebs. And you might think like, why am I collecting cobwebs? Well, the truth is, this part of the video I wrote like an entire rant about why the recipe for the windmill is really stupid, because you need like 120 pieces of string to make it. And I was like, wow, there's no way you can kill that many spiders in a timely manner. To get that amount of string, you would have to create a spider genocide. And then I realized that you can always just create like a mob spawner. Yeah, I feel pretty stupid now. I still think that creating a mob spawner is like a pretty dumb design decision. but I can't really blame them for like not having it thought out, because they clearly did.
It does get better later on though, as the machines for the zone tier are a spinning wheel, a sawmill, and a pump which gets water. The sawmill is used to make wooden plates, which are then used to make a water wheel. The last tier we're going to talk about is the steel tier. Steel is made in the large furnace by a combination of iron dust and coal dust, which you might remember come from large ores. The generator is a large windmill, and the machines are the extractor, the pulverizer, and the fan. In quite a lot of mods, you can find the electrical furnace. The idea for an electrical furnace is incredibly simple. Instead of using solid fuels, you just use whatever your mod's energy is. Since the idea is so prevalent, many mods have tried to innovate on the idea by implementing a heating block, which acts very much the same way, except instead of it being in the furnace directly, you just attach it to an already existing furnace. SextiarySector2, however, goes one step further, as instead of acting like glorified water, the fan in this mod actually has a purpose. That being that it turns the fire blue, and the blue fire then acts as a heating block. The mod also has some basic pipes and tanks. It's all very basic, nothing special really. Up until this point you probably wouldn't even notice them, but the reason I mention them is that another thing you can do with the blue fire is that you can put a tank of water above it, and it turns the water into steam, which can then be used to automate steam productions, which is necessary for the last generator, the steam engine. Having unconventional solutions to the common problem is actually a somewhat prevalent theme. Like, I'm pretty sure you all know other rotten flesh leather mods. The only thing more common than any are Ruby mods and whatever meme happens to lay on the surface of Reddit. Well, in SextiarySector2 you can smelt the rotten flesh in a liquid furnace to create water and drying flesh, which can then be crafted into a flesh bobbin, which can be turned into leather inside the loom, making the process much more involved. There is actually another way of creating steam, which is through the food steamers, which cooks food, which sounds great on paper, like you get additional steams plus you can cook your food, though I wouldn't recommend it since the food made in the steamer has the exact same hunger value as their uncooked variants, which does seem to have the weird implication that majority of additional hunger you get from cooking meat is made up entirely of steam. Either way, it's pretty much a waste of resources since you can make way more steam for cheaper with a fan. Anyway, now with all of that out of the way, I feel like it's time to turn the clock back a bit. Let's surface. This is your first step toward creating the economy aspect of SextiarySector2 is easily its most interesting part. I mean, a lot of mods can crush ores or automate smelting, but how many can give you the opportunity to buy stuff? Well, many mods can, but this is different. It's so different in kind, I actually find it a bit immersion breaking. Like, this is all late Middle Ages tech at the best, and then just boom, internet. So this is actually where the money part comes in. Hope you remembered it. Unlike in most mods where you pay with emeralds, like the items, it will just pay with an imaginary number, which shows how much money you have. You get money for various tasks such as killing enemies or completing achievements. Up until now, the money has been pretty useless, but that all changes with the invention of the knife. The knife is a pretty mediocre weapon at best, the diamond one only being about as good as a wooden sword, but if you get to kill a creeper with it, you get its head. Use it to make a firework, light it up, and next day you will wake up with a special chest right next to you with 2 monitors, 1 creeper memory, and a shipping box, along with some other stuff. The shipping box is for selling things. Put whatever it is that you think might be valuable in the box and watch as it gets swapped with money. You being able to sell things does change how you play the game quite a bit. I remember when mining I thought to mine not what I currently need, but rather what can get me the largest amount of cash. The main problem with how the money is implemented is that if you die, you lose all of it, with, as far as I know, no way to prevent it aside from just, like not dying, and no way to get your money back, which gets really frustrating. You could be richer than all of the world combined and lose it all in a single fall. I would prefer if it would work a bit more like experience points, where if you make it to the spot where you died, you still can get some of it. So how do you use money? That's easy, just attach one of the monitors to power, insert the creeper memory, and now you have access to the creeper shop. What can you buy in the creeper shop? Well, for starters, you can buy more trophies, as with the one you get from achievements earned now. Some of the other things you can buy are the food crafter, which can store about a single bucket, otherwise pretty useless, a Takumi tea bottle, which heals slightly more thirst than the usual water bottle, curry powder, which is only used for creating curry, the GF contact lenses, which do this, and the water contact lenses, which improve your vision underwater. There are actually a number of items which you can equip, like the rucksack, which gives you more inventory, how creative I know, the quiver, which is the same as the rucksack except you only hold arrows inside. If you remember the extractor, it is used for turning leaves into oxygen and dye into color sprays. As far as I know, the color sprays aren't used for anything, but the oxygen can be held in the oxygen tank to increase the amount of time you can keep underwater. You can also buy all these little units, which are like little upgrades for your play character. The crab unit giving you portable crafting table inside your inventory, the jump unit allowing you to jump higher, the dash unit, which makes you walk faster, the slow unit, which disallows you from running, and the pickaxe unit allowing you to mine with your own hands. In the creeper shop, you can also buy the skeleton memory, which gives you access to the skeleton shop, where you can buy things such as weapons and armor, and also 2 additional units, those being the pulling unit and the multi-shot unit, both being upgrades to the bow. The multi-shot unit allows you to shoot multiple arrows at once. The vast majority of things you can buy in the creeper shop are related to agriculture. This mod actually implements seasons into the game. Oh wow, it really took me that long to mention this? Well, yeah, because it really wasn't relevant up until now anyway. The only thing that really changes are the color of the leaves during autumn, and that's it. Now, however, the seasons are going to be quite important, as you can only plant certain crops during certain seasons, which is why you can buy a season stone, which displays what season it currently is, which is best used together with a calendar, which displays the date of the season. This mod adds 3 new farmland into the game. When you try to use a hoe, you no longer get the vanilla farmland. Instead, the farmland looks something like this, and it used to plant the various crops. In order to turn this farmland into the vanilla farmland for vanilla and other moss crops, you need a scoop. Using the scoop on dirt and filling it all with water creates a paddy for rice. And finally, you can buy a piece of wood in the creeper shop on which you can plant various mushrooms. You will also need to create a watering can, as that is the only way to water the farmland so your crops can grow and won't die. You can also create a water supply machine which waters your crops automatically. The different crops you can buy are green pepper, shiitake mushrooms, cucumbers, onions, corn, radishes, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, turnips, rice, and eggplants. Some crops, such as onions, you can only collect once, while others, like tomatoes, will produce as long as they are in the proper environment. Putting bone meal into the farmland will give larger crops which you can sell for 10 times their original price. You can also buy stone dust in the creeper shop, which will turn some of the crops into special variants, like turning the turnip into an iron turnip, turning corn into golden corn, and onion into copper onions, which then allows you to get the materials without having to go mining. This is basically the end game as far as this mod is concerned. In certain biomes, the mod considers to be magical, like the Mushroom Islands, along with some biomes of mods, you can find two special ores, Mithril and Orichalcum. These ores are really rare though, so have fun streamlining the entire archipelago before you find even a crumb. A much more viable alternative is to just buy some magic dust at the creeper shop. Make a magic furnace with it. The magic furnace consumes redstone, bluestone, yellowstone, and the magic dust itself to turn regular silver into mithril. Grind it up along with some diamonds, bake in a large furnace, and you got a ninja ingot. I wish the mod was a bit more original with the names. Saying ninja ingot honestly feels really awkward. It sounds like something a 5-year-old would think of. This is the ninja ingot, it is the most powerful metal alloy in the world, and it can kill the wither in one hit. With the magic dust, you can also make rings which you can wear, those being the XP ring and the MP ring. I'm not sure about their purpose, but I think that the XP ring acts like an experience or magnet. A not yet mentioned use of the liquid furnace is that it can recycle the metal from vanilla tools. The problem with this is that once you put the tool in the liquid furnace, it just turns into liquid metal. And to turn the liquid metal back into ingots, you need the freezer, which isn't unlocked until the creation of ninja nuggets. Bro, okay with this name Ninja Nuggets. Ninja Nuggets! The Ninja tier doesn't have any specific generator, so you have to convert it from the steel tier, and it only has one machine, that being the rolling machine, which turns the ingots into plates. It's kind of funny how such a basic thing like metal plates is treated like a late game invention by this mod. The iron plate is required to make the saw, the last machine of the steel tier. All that the saw does is break blocks and hurt mobs. I guess it could be used to automate a cobblestone generator. It's honestly kind of a letdown compared to just how much functionality they were able to cram into the fan. Anyways, Oracle come. Let's talk about it. Unlike Mithril, it doesn't have a specific crafting recipe. It can only be mined, or it can be also bought. I mean, why should we have problems when we can have money? Luckily, you don't need a lot of it since it also doesn't have a specific generator and only one machine. And that one machine is the Time Machine. With a name like Time Machine, there are a number of ideas floating around what it could do. Perhaps it can be used to change the time of the day, or even change the current season so that Nope! is actually used to turn the crops into seeds, so you don't have to buy them in the creeper shop. And yeah, that's the mod, everyone. Thanks for watching! Okay, so hello everyone. This is probably the longest video I have made ever, like so far, and it feels good to finally be like in the final stages of making this thing. And so as a close, I just wanted to provide a bit of an unscripted commentary about what I learned from making this long ass video. So it all really started when I really like this mod that people didn't really seem to be all that impressed by, so I just sort of wanted to make a video showing like what I thought, why I thought that it was such a great mod. And throughout the making of it, I did realize that it was surprisingly mediocre. So I just started like thinking like, what was it? Why did I like it so much? Was it just like nostalgia tinted glasses, or well, perhaps? But what I noticed is that the things I liked the most were like these little pieces of design, which I think were implemented quite cleverly. So it's not really what the mod does as much as the way it does the things that it does. I feel like if you wanted to put this to like newer versions, it would definitely need some revisions, as it didn't age quite so well. But like, if you just want to sort of like play an old version for the nostalgia's sake, I think that this is a pretty good mod. So yeah, to summarize, the SextiarySector2 fan is the best thing to ever come out since the writings of Confucius, the Bible, and the entire discography of Des Racist. Yeah, that's it, bye.